Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Frank Morano. I'm the city councilman that represents this district. I'm sorry to have everybody come out here on a Saturday morning, but I'll tell you, the fact that so many of you came out on 1 day's notice, less than 1 day's notice, to be here and show your opposition to an awful, awful project, I think speaks volumes about where the community is on this. You're going to hear from some community leaders in a moment, but a lot of people have been asking me over the course of the last 12 hours, what's the point of this? Isn't this a done deal? Answer, no. We are going to be out here constantly keeping vigil and fighting back. 1, until this is approved by DOB. 2, until there's a foundation. 3, until there's a certificate of occupancy. 4, until this place is built. And 5, until it's open. We are going to fight this every step of the way until City Hall and an administration that found Staten Island was too far away and too forgotten to get paved when it snows. Staten Island was too far away and too forgotten to get some 2K seats when it comes to doling out preschool seats, even though every other borough got one. Somehow, this is what they remember Staten Island for. We're going to ask the mayor politely to reconsider, and then, if he doesn't reconsider, we're going to ask not so politely, because this is outrageous. This is the wrong location, the wrong decision, and the wrong process. A lot of people have been saying to me on social media and anecdotally, well, why are you against homeless people? Let me tell you something. I'm the chairman of the Veterans Committee at the City Council, and I have met personally many homeless veterans. I know people that are in homeless shelters personally. I have friends that are currently homeless. I am not against homeless people at all. What I am against is taking a low-density neighborhood that's dominated by houses and small business and plopping a 4-story building loaded with 160 men that has no place in this neighborhood and has no access to the kind of services that these folks would actually need to seek treatment, to seek employment. I am opposed to putting it here. I'm all for finding a solution to Staten Island's homeless. You know how many people they estimate Staten Island has that are homeless? Less than 200. Already, Staten Island has 220 plus shelter beds available with existing shelters. There is a bed for every single homeless person on Staten Island. That doesn't even count the new wind shelter that they're building on Victory Boulevard. So we're going to have even more shelter capacity. But what happened the same day that we were all notified that this was happening? The same day, the mayor announced that they were closing a 250-bed facility at Bellevue. Bellevue in Manhattan, which is close to mass transit, it's close to hospital services, it's close to counseling services, it's a train ride away from any sort of employment training that folks might need. So we're not solving anything. We are just shifting the burden of homelessness from Manhattan to places like Staten Island and a community where this doesn't belong. Now, we have been fighting this for over a year. Assemblyman Riley, Senator Lanza, Congresswoman Maliotakis, all sorts of other people, really every elected official that represents this area, and even some who don't, like Assemblyman Janusis and Councilmember Carr. We've been fighting this for over a year, ever since plans were filed. You know what those plans said? Those plans said they wanted to build a 4-story hotel, transient hotel is what they called it, 46 rooms, 2 beds each. I'm not great in math, that's why I'm in politics. Does anybody know what 46 times 2 is? 92, very good. See, that's a mathematician among us. Now, you have to wonder then, why did the letter we all got yesterday say that this, they didn't use the word hotel, that this is going to be a shelter and it's going to house 160 people. So where are those other 70 people going? Either they're lying in the filing, they made a mistake in their letter to us, or the chances are they're trying to scale this up to a much broader project than what they imagined. You want to talk about an awful process? Take a look. This is chapter and verse of everything that's wrong with city government. Friday, the very same day that we were informed about this by phone, that morning, the mayor's own administration, the Department of Building, said to me, they have no changes in application status.
Nothing new going on here. That same day. So not only are they not including the community, they're not even including other city agencies. This is absolutely preposterous. Ask yourself the question, 160 men, a pretty decent walk to the train from here, not a lot of hospital services, not a lot of counseling services, not a lot of employment services nearby. What are 160 men going to do all day around here? Whatever it is, it's not good, okay? You talk about... I'll tell you, whatever they're doing, it's not helped by the fact that the mayor has also decided that we're not hiring 5,000 cops next year, which is also a big problem. Before I invite everybody else to share their view of the situation, let me just tell you about where this process is at this point. Because it's still by no means a done deal. At this point, the only thing that's happened is the Department of Homeless Services has indicated that they want to do this. Now that would allow them to build something that's not keeping in code with zoning. If they wanted to follow the same zoning laws that all these other businesses have to in this neighborhood, they wouldn't be able to build what they want to build. The only way that they can do this is by getting a waiver from a state agency or a city agency, say they're going to use it for a city or state purpose. Now, it would be nice if they used it for a city purpose like, I don't know, a preschool with 2K seats, but we know how this administration feels about that. So, at this point, there's still a regulatory morass that we are going to go through. Department of Buildings, DOT is going to need some special waivers to, in terms of traffic here. We're going to fight that every step of the way. The mayor and his administration say they want to open this by mid-2027. We're going to do whatever we can to stop it, and we're going to do whatever we can to slow this down, ideally until someone else is mayor and has a more enlightened view that Staten Island is actually a part of this city. Two things I'll mention before we run. One, lest anyone think that the owner of this property is going to be left impoverished or holding the bag if he's not able to open a shelter here. Gentleman to my left, John Galarza, has offered to buy this property for exactly what this gentleman paid, and I'm imagining if they got to the point of negotiating, he'd throw in a couple extra bucks. Now, something tells me that John's plans for this site would not include a homeless shelter. I will tell you, I have reached out to the owner repeatedly, by email, by snail mail. Hey, there's no phone number for this guy. Over the course of the last year, almost every week, I have gotten zero responses. Zero responses. Lest anyone think that this is a guy that's interested in being a good neighbor. He is absolutely having no interest in being a good neighbor. And folks might have read the article in the Advance and read what the Homeless Services Department was saying about what this is going to be used for. 24-hour security, all sorts of very safe. They made it sound great. The entity that is going to be running this facility, Community Housing Initiatives, was cited by the New York State Controller for repeatedly being derelict in their running of existing shelters, and they have been stopped in community after community, including in Mount Vernon most recently, because they have been so lackluster when it comes to oversight. So this is a bad plan, a bad location, and this process was done completely without any sort of involvement from the community at all. This is not an anti-housing thing, not an anti-homeless person thing. I'm all for discussing how we can solve that at a city level. But Staten Island is not going to go from being a literal dumping ground of garbage to being a dumping ground of homeless people that the rest of the city doesn't want. Last thing I'll mention, if you look at the fight that Staten Island has had over the last half century, this district especially, whether it was the theme park they wanted to build here, which they called the Scheme Park, whether it was the battle to close Fresh Kills, whether it was NASCAR, whether it was the attempt to put a waste transfer station here, whether it was the situation in the 80s where they wanted to put a city jail here on top of the existing correctional facility we all had, whether it was the LNG tanks. I really believe that this fight is the culmination of all of those combined, because if they're able to build a 4-story transient hotel, which is a homeless shelter, if they're able to build it here, you will be able to mark the history of the South Shore in 2 different eras, before this shelter and after. It's one thing to be insulted by not paving the snow. It's another thing to be insulted by not giving us pre-K seats. It's another thing to be insulted by trying to raise property taxes. But then to add this sort of insult to injury is absolutely inexcusable, and we're going to fight it every single step of the way. Office, they're both here, as is the chairperson of Community Board 3, Diane Perugia, along with a lot of the other leadership of Community Board 3. Let me first welcome a guy that's been involved in most of those fights that I've mentioned over the course of the last half century, the one and only State Senator Andrew Lanza.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Councilman Morano. You know, it's not easy to get this sort of thing done. It's not easy to get this. It's not easy to get this thing done this quickly. Frank mobilized immediately, got us together. As he said, thank you, Staten Islanders. You're the best. You're the greatest. There's no doubt about it. We're coming together, standing up for each other, standing up for our community. You know, for a long time, as I was growing up, we were known as the forgotten borough. Obviously, this mayor wants to make us the hated borough, maybe even the screwed borough. But we're going to stand up to this socialist Democrat. Here's the bottom line. Like every socialist left-wing Democrat policy, this lacks compassion. They hate us, period. They hate us for who we are. They hate us because we're patriotic. They hate us because we answer to someone other than at City Hall. They hate us because we're law-abiding. They hate us because we support the men and women in blue. They hate us because we work. They hate us because we care about the future of this country. They hate us because we care about liberty. Well, guess what? Guess what? We're taking a stand right here. All of us together. As Councilman Morano went through the liturgy of what the things this mayor has already done. The worst response to a snow storm in the history of New York City. He wants to raise our property taxes. He doesn't want to give us the sort of services he's already providing to other cities. He wants to reduce the police department force on Staten Island. Everything this mayor does has one clear mission, and that's to say to the people of Staten Island, we don't want you, we don't care about you, and we're not going to fight for you. And why would you think this is the case? Why would a socialist Democrat hate us? Because we represent everything that stands in the way of what they want to do. And as Frank Morano said, this policy is not just lacking in compassion for all of us, it shows disdain from the very people that he claims that he cares about. The downtrodden, the homeless. Let me tell you the truth. They count on people's hard luck. They want you to be beaten down. They use their plight in order to sell lies, trade their lies for your votes. They want to act compassionate, but everything they do makes life worse in the city of New York and the state of New York. This is a mayor who stands against everything we stand for. A guy that used to walk through the halls of the Capitol in Albany screaming, from the river to the sea. What does that mean? He believes the people of faith in the Middle East, the people of who are Jewish, they don't deserve a place to live. Yet he wants to relocate people from other boroughs, bring them to Staten Island. Is this compassionate? As Frank Morano said, where is he bringing these people? To the place that has fewer support services, less transportation, and less access to amenities than anywhere in the city of New York.
How is that helping them?
It's hurting them. It's hurting them. Listen, here's the bottom line, folks. Here's the bottom line. We've got to take a stand. And I'm going to say something here that needs to be said. We have a borough buildings commissioner. He works out of Borough Hall. He ought to hear from you. He ought to hear from you. He's going to hear from us. You want to put an extension on your kitchen? You want to build a porch? You want to put a new window in your house? Good luck. You'll be waiting years. We have good, hard-working residents here on Staten Island, homeowners, waiting for years to get C of Os for the houses because they dared to put a new front door on the house. And yet all of a sudden, out of nowhere, overnight, something like this is going to get approved. We have a mayor who says he cares about the environment. The left-wing Democrat, liberals, the socialists, they don't care about the environment. They want to cut down every tree on Staten Island. This is what they want to do. City of yes. Is that environmental? Is that compassionate? They want to wipe away the will of the people of Staten Island who have elected people to set our zoning laws, to have quality of life zones that make our community a better place to live. They want to erase that. This mayor hates everything we are all about. And you know what? I don't like him so much myself. So we're going to stand together. We're going to fight the fight as best we can. He might not want to listen to us, but he's going to goddamn hear us.
Woo! Yeah.
Not joking. I thought for sure he was going to explain to me how 92 becomes 160 overnight. But even some things Andy can't explain. All right. Another fellow who has repeatedly been at the forefront of this fight is someone who actually filed repeated FOIL requests with the Department of Homeless Services and a bunch of other city agencies saying very simply, show us what you know about this. Show us the documents that you have on this. You know what he heard in response? Nothing. Yet somehow, I guess this is the first project in the history of the city of New York that was able to go through without any documentation. Let me welcome the assemblyman representing this area, Assemblyman Mike O'Reilly.
Woo!
Thank you, Frank. Thank you for coming out here on short notice, like Frank said. Listen, this has a history of all right, that's all, folks. Solve that problem. You know, we have a history of this. And they all went through it. But let me tell you specifically about what happened in Albany a few years ago when it came to the difference between homeless shelters and transient hotels. There was legislation to require public hearings if a shelter was going to be sited anywhere in New York City. And you may or may not believe this, but Staten Island's still part of the city. Maybe we shouldn't, but we are. So the reason why I mention that, I think somebody here, a couple of guys here have a bill that we all support. Now, when we passed this legislation, it required that they hold a public hearing for shelters. It passed, the governor got it. Then disgraced Governor Cuomo signed it into law. But it required an amendment. That amendment was that if it was a transient hotel, it didn't require a public hearing.
Semantics.
Wow. Talk about sneaking it in. And that's what they were trying to do to this property last year. And we were fighting it. We were out here, standing here, doing the same thing we're doing now. But that's what they don't realize. We're a community that fights. We will not be stepped on. We will not be pushed over. And because you're here in such short notice, we're putting them on notice. Those FOIL requests that I filed, I did get an answer eventually that said, we don't have any plans for that happening in the near future. The same bureaucrats that work in that agency are still there with the new mayor. So what are they going to tell me? Oh, it's because of the new mayor? Bullshit. That paperwork was in existence. You refused to give it to me. That's what we're not going to stand for. We are going to be out here every day if it takes us to be here. So we tell you, not here. Right. Not here. And we're not saying it just because you're saying it's a homeless shelter. It's a poor location. No transportation. No services for work. Where are they going to help these people? Where are the wraparound services? They all went through this before me, talking about it. But we're going to be here by your side. Not here. Not here. Not here. Not here. Not here. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblyman Riley. And by the way, this is a totally nonpartisan issue. I thought it was very interesting that a lot of Democratic elected officials from Staten Island also put out a statement saying that they don't think this is a good location for this. So you could be against this homeless shelter and be Democrat and not vote for any of us, and that's fine. But just understand that when we talk about what's best for the community, that's what should require community input. And this is being done with zero community input. Let me welcome Assemblyman, the neighboring Assemblyman, Michael Tanusa. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
That thing doesn't seem to work.
They never forget about us when it comes to taxes, homeless shelters, congestion pricing, everything else. But they always tend to forget about us when it comes to services, the things that we need. Expansion of mass transit, for example. They forget about us when it comes to that. They don't like us. They don't like us. Guess what? We don't like you either. Let us go. Let us go. Me and Andy Lanza have a bill in New York State, in the New York State Assembly and the New York State Senate, to secede from New York City. Let us go. Let us go.
Let us go.
I want to be very sure to say one thing, and it's the same thing that we've been saying previously. Every time this issue comes up, we are not, and this is the message for those advocates that are going to attack us because we are here today. And they're going to say we're anti-homeless people. These are the same people when we were at St. John Villa Academy and the migrant shelter of Father Cap that were calling me anti-immigrant. Meanwhile, I'm an immigrant. I came here 6 years old. I didn't speak English. I only spoke Greek. I assimilated to American society. My parents came here with nothing. Nobody gave them a damn thing. Don't call me anti-immigrant. Don't call me anti-homeless. Mind your business. And if you don't like what you're doing here, put this in your neighborhood. Put this in your neighborhood. We will not stand for this. We will stand united, whether we represent this district or not. For all of Staten Island, we will not give up the fight. We will do everything we can, whether it's here or in the courtroom. New York City, let us go. Thank you all. God bless.
Thank you, Mike Tanusa. I think most of us would agree Mike has more than made up for the first 6 years of his life not speaking English. Now, in some ways, the easy thing is to get people here now. When we just hear about this and everybody's upset and everyone's ready to grab a pitchfork and come on out. The difficult thing is 6 months from now, 5 months from now, a year from now, when people have other things going on. People have jobs. They have things to go to on a Saturday morning. And we want to make sure that we keep the pressure on City Hall, not only in terms of organizing, not only in terms of the legal fight, the policy aspect, but the regulatory fight. So in the coming days, we're going to be launching a coalition to keep an eye on this that's going to be completely comprised of members of the community. We're all working together to bring that to fruition. One of the fellows that's going to be spearheading that is the former chairperson of Community Board 3, Tommy Barlotta. Tommy.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming out. This is something we got to be united on. All community boards, everybody, all the elected officials should be here. I appreciate the ones that are. We got to work together. We got to be consistent, and we got to never give up. We're going to look at every blank property now from day one. When the leaves are falling, we're looking at that property. We want to know what it's going to be because there's too many opportunities out here for us to get screwed over. We're going to be ahead of the game, way ahead of the game going forward. Thank you.
Now, more than one person has talked about the similarities to what went on with the fight for the migrant shelters, and you know what? A lot of those fights were successful. If you look at what's going on at St. John's Villa and Midland Beach, one of the leaders of that was Sal from the Midland Beach Civic Association, who has some organizing tips.
So basically, in 2023, the Island Shores turned into an assisted living. They turned around and said, and they're a migrant shelter.
That might not.
So now it's a migrant shelter. Now today, it's a family shelter. You know, how did they change over from a migrant shelter with an emergency act to a family shelter? You know, they don't have nobody in the community they know. So that can happen here.
No transparency.
We want to shut down its Midland Beach, and it's been 3 years. They made $27 million in a 3-year period.
No big
So who's
contract.
accountable? We pay that.
Thank you, Sal, and thank you for everybody being out here, all the members of the community. Part of the reason we wanted to do this is not just to hear a bunch of elected officials speak, but to give you guys an opportunity to vent. I don't think anybody better personifies the anger of a lot of neighborhood residents than Tony Antico, who's had a lot of fights like this.
It's my birthday today. It's my birthday present. This is going to be good. Couple of things. I have the luxury. I live in Huguenot, by the way, but I have the luxury right now, and I say the luxury of. I'd rather do it with my own voice, but I'll do this. I have the luxury right now of having a schizophrenic come into Starbucks at Woodrow every day. And I have the luxury of speaking to this man. And I have the luxury of watching him curse out women, talking properly around women. And my problem, I have no, listen, I'm going to say the same thing everybody's saying. I have zero problem with homeless people. I have compassion for homeless people. I think everybody here does. Where's the iPad? Make sure you hear that. I have compassion for homeless people. Oh, sorry.
Speak into the mic.
I'm sorry about that. However, I don't have compassion for people that are going to harass. Listen to me again. If I'm at Starbucks in the morning, these poor women will be harassed. Now that's one human being. There's 160 human beings. They can spread out in the community and harass. And I'll tell you right now, this is a problem that the city of New York kicked down the path to us. They don't handle their mentally ill properly. They don't, and they become the homeless, right? So the mentally ill people are becoming the homeless people. You handle it. That's not our problem here. Like they're making it our problem. It's not our problem to handle the mentally ill. They have to. My question would always be, are you homeless or you're mentally ill? Or you're both. And if you're both, you're mentally ill. It overtakes homeless in my mind. It caused you to homelessness. So the person involved in Villa from the beginning to the end. Listen to me, guys. It's not easy. You got to be there. And I know this is the South Shore. I live in the South Shore. I came from South Beach, but I'm here now. I'm with you guys, and I'll be here. But you have to be committed. And the reason Staten Island has to be committed is because we are the first line and the last line of defense against what happens with these radical people, right? These socialists. We have to be. If it happens here, like they said, it'll happen everywhere. We cannot. Listen, guys, your neighbor's going to be gone. I'm not messing around. I see the guy. You want to visit me in the morning? I'm there at 6 in the morning. I watch. I get up. I can't sleep. I'm getting older now. But these people are around. 160. My mind says they're here to mess up the neighborhood. Because you know this doesn't make any sense at all, right? What sense does this make to be here, right? None.
Confusion.
Come on. All that.
Chaos.
We don't know what's going on. Come on, guys. It doesn't make no sense. There's something more than meets the eye. We don't hate homeless people. We love them. But they have to be in the right area, with the right people around, with the right facilities, taking care of it. It's not here. Thank you very much. Happy birthday.
I want to thank everybody who came out, all the people in the neighborhood, but even a lot lot of the, especially folks like Kevin Hartnett, who've been great and been leading the fight not only against issues like this, but battery energy storage facilities and everything else. But folks that came here from other parts of the island, like our friend Ruslan from the North Shore and John Shea from the North Shore. Now, unlike a lot of the folks that might protest, they go to an anti-ICE protest or something, a lot of the people at this protest have jobs and families and things to do on a Saturday. So we're going to finish strong. We want to send a very powerful message loudly so that they can hear it in City Hall, they can hear it in Albany, they can hear it in Astoria. And we want to say what we think about this location and this timing, which in a word is not here and not now. So on the count of three, I'd love to get a few, not here, not now. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Not here, not now. 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 Not here, not now.
And there's a petition here that you can sign with your phone. If you want to sign up to be kept informed or stay in touch with Assemblyman Riley, who's been one of the leaders in this fight, feel free to do so. I promise you, we will be here again and be here again soon in even larger numbers, even louder. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.